Hey guys, Lani again for Gamerfront.net. I'm here with Paul Bellezza. He is an associate producer for Riot Games that produces, of course, League of Legends. Now, Paul, I gotta ask, with so much competition coming into this MOBA market, I gotta ask, what is, the idea? Like, how do you guys manage to stay on top like you are?
I think what we try to achieve is just we just want to be the most player-focused game company in the world, and we just want to make sure that we keep driving the quality bar for League of Legends for our players. At the end of the day, if we are doing our best to make sure the game is fun and balanced and engaging, I think we're going to enjoy some success there. And that's really our only kind of mission statement.
Right, of course. Now, you guys just released your 99th champion, Draven, correct? I just watched the champion spotlight this morning. Looking really cool. I gotta ask, do you guys have any big plans for the 100th champion? Because that's a pretty substantial number there.
Sure. Well, we're really not focused on numbers per se. Each champion we treat very special. They all need to be quality. They need to be awesome, and I don't think the 100th one is going to be anything different from the others in that regard. They're all important to us, and important that they're fun and engaging to the players. So, yeah, I think it's just going to be hopefully another solid champion release.
And we hope so too. Now, I got to ask, since there are so many champions, so many different abilities, there really has to be only so much you can do with them. Do you guys really plan to keep releasing champion after champion every 2 weeks?
I actually disagree that there's not only so much you can do. I think the sky is the limit in terms of creativity and different things we can do. There's so many archetypes, there's so many different design styles, play styles that I don't think we've even tapped. And ideas really can come from anywhere. For example, Draven didn't start from a kit or an ability. Started with an idea of how come we don't have a person in our game who's kind of like this egomaniac, narcissistic badass, kind of like Ric Flair from wrestling, right? Someone's gonna go woo and just woo and celebrate kicking your butt. And we're like, what would that person be like? And an artist went home and drew basically Draven and drew his axes. And so a designer saw that and was like, wow, what if this guy was literally juggling axes with your face, and his abilities kind of played out to be that way. And it's something as simple as just an idea of we just need a dude who's a showman in our game led to that. And because of that, I think there's so much you can do, so much you can explore. That said, I think we're going to listen to our players to see what's best, right? And so if overall we find that players aren't exactly responding well to new champions to do stuff, we'll cross that road when we get there. But so far, it's been very positive, and I think we're going to continue to go.
Yeah, I mean, and the way you're talking about that, I have seen so much creativity come out of your guys' team with so many different champions, so many different skins. Could you maybe give us a little insider's, advice as to how do you come up with these kind of things? Where do these ideas manifest from?
So in terms of champions, like I said, the idea can come from anywhere. At Riot, we really encourage everyone in the company to submit ideas for champions and skins. And so sometimes someone will just send an image along or a one-sentence description of something they think is cool, and that might spark an idea. For skin development, it's a little more nuanced. The reason why is we really try to achieve, when we think of our skins, what is the psychology of this champion? What do people who play this champion want to feel like? What kind of resonates with that champion? And what makes it more fun to play? I think skins that really take advantage of this just end up to be more than the sum of all its parts. Look at Astronaut Teemo, right? Teemo is a cute little scout with his blow dart, can be a little annoying with his mushrooms, but you make him an astronaut, it kind of makes sense, right? He's kind of a try-hard guy. In an astronaut suit, it all works. If you made astronaut Tryndamere, I think that would be more funny as opposed to fitting the psychology. That's why a skin like Demon Sword Tryndamere makes a lot of sense. With Trynd, you're going out there, filling with rage, destroying people. A Demon Sword possessed version of him feeds into that. When you kill things with them, it feels good. And so that's kind of the method of operation when it comes to ideating skins. So yeah, that's kind of some of the process right there.
Yeah, now speaking of Astronaut Teemo and Demon Sword Tryndamere, what exactly, what makes you guys decide what is a legendary skin? Like, if you guys have an idea and say, we need to go back and re-record some stuff, we need to make some new animations, what really designates that? Like,
Yeah, no, it's a great question. I think really a legendary skin should be the penultimate fantasy of who that champion is. And when we have a skin and we look at it and go, that's a good alternate version of him, and there's some particles and stuff like that, that can be fine. Like, look at Cryocore Brand, right? You took Brand, we gave him this kind of futuristic suit, we turned him blue. That's awesome. But does that change who Brand is? No, it's just kind of a different, cooler version of him. Whereas Bloodlord Vlad, we took Vlad, who's kind of a hemo mage, like a vampire-inspired type of person. He's kind of fancy a little bit. And we said, how do we amp him? How do we reinvent him that still makes him feel right? Bloodlord kind of pumped up his kind of evilness to 11. And what would be like the most evil version of him? And I think that thematic thing is what really captures a legendary. And then you can build the particles, the sound, the new voiceovers, the processing on top of that to feed that fantasy. And I think that's where the real difference is.
right. Now, League of Legends has been around for a while, and you most recently developed a new gameplay type, Dominion.
Yes.
What have you learned from developing Dominion, and can we expect any more game types in the future?
Sure. Don't have any specific plans on anything that we're going to be doing in the future. But in Dominion, we just learned that, some people really prefer a kind of shorter, fast-paced style that's still reminiscent of, the MOBA genre. Like, what's interesting about Dominion is it's more focused on team fights and just kind of holding positions. You're not really penalized for dying as much because you're encouraged to get out there and fight. Whereas Classic, you have to be more protective, the way you position yourself and the way you kind of poke at your enemy in the laning phase is very, very important. In Dominion, you can be a little more free-for-all in that regard, and there's an audience for that. And our players, we have a dedicated group of Dominion players who love Dominion, and I think that's pretty cool. So the big thing there is learning like kind of who those different types of players are, what do they like, and how can we balance the game appropriately kind of for both those audiences in on top of the whole game itself in Classic mode.
Yeah, now, speaking of audience, you also recently released Spectator mode. Now, this is going to be a little bit of a tangent, but I went to a convention recently, and they had a big screen television, and just somebody sitting behind it was playing League of Legends, like, nonstop. And there was always a crowd of like 70 or 80 people gathered around that thing just watching somebody play League of Legends. What is it about League of Legends, you think, that makes it such a watchable experience, that makes it so compelling for people just to sit there and, analyze?
I think it's a sport, right? There's a flow to the game that's pretty understandable once you've played it a few times, right? There's different phases. Like the first is kind of the laning phase, and then you get into kind of ganking and jungling, and then you have the final push to take over. But what's really the meat of it is teamwork, right? Seeing good players work together in different roles to kind of out-juke their enemies. Like how many times have we seen, a really great Baron steal, right? Or like a great jungler wipe out the enemy team's jungle before they even know it and come through and just help gank left and right. I mean, there's so many ways the game can be played. It's kind of amazing, and I think that's what kind of leans itself. Seeing really good players, passionate players surprise, right, the audience, the player base, by doing something new and unexpected, because you might have picked Urgot and did something really wacky with him, or Shyvana when Moscow 5 started jungling Shyvana, kind of changed the way that worked, right? There's so many surprises, and game to game, like, you never know what's going to happen, and I think that's the real meat of it.
Now, going back to that sports comment that we were mentioning, it's been getting kind of bigger in the esports circuit as of late. I mean, I've watched a lot of the finals and semifinals that you guys, show on your main page. It's really compelling just to watch how skilled some of these players get. How do you feel about the whole esports market?
I mean, dude, it's awesome, right? Like, I can go online, I can go find a awesome pro that I've been following, spectate their game, look at their stream, and just study the way they think about it, and it's just awesome. Like, when I was a kid watching Michael Jordan play basketball in his own face, like, it's amazing, right? I can do that for League of Legends, and personally, to me as a gamer, that's pretty awesome. So, I mean, I'm just floored. I'm absolutely ecstatic about it.
All right, well, I'd like to thank you for your time. This has been great, learning a lot more about the intricacies of the game. Again, this is Paul. I'm Lani, and keep staying tuned to gamerfront.net.